Hello, boys and girls. This is Teacher Clorinda today, and I'm here to tell you the Bible story for this week. The story that I'm going to talk about comes from the Bible, and we know that the Bible is always true, so I'm not telling you a story that isn't true. I'm not telling you a fairy tale or a fable. It actually happened. And where we're going to find it in the Bible is Exodus chapter 16. So for you older kids, if you have your Bible, you can turn to Exodus chapter 16. The story that I'm going to talk about today is about the miracle of the food. And the miracle of the food is something that happened to the Israelites. Remember who they were? They were slaves in Egypt for many, many years, for hundreds of years. And then God set them free. He sent Moses and his brother Aaron and his sister Miriam to help them run from the Egyptians. And that's what they did. By a miracle, God helped them cross the Red Sea. And now we come up to a month later. They've been a month outside of Egypt. And all of a sudden, they realized they didn't have any food. There were no markets, nowhere to buy fresh fruit, nowhere to buy meat, and they were starting to feel hungry. And when they started to feel hungry, you know what happened next? They started to complain. They complained and complained and complained. There's nowhere to get food. There's no meat to eat. We should have stayed in Egypt instead and died there instead of dying in the desert. What did you do to us as we left Egypt? What did you do, Moses? Well, Moses realized they weren't complaining about him. They were complaining really about God. Why did God bring them out to the desert? Why did he not provide food? Why were they thirsty? Why were they hungry? But God heard them. God heard all their complaining, and he realized he wanted to do something special for them. He was going to perform a miracle. And you wonder, what is that miracle? Was he going to give them money to go to the market? But there was no market. Was he going to have food delivered to them? No. You know what was his plan for feeding over 1 million people? That's like the size of Sacramento and Elk Grove, and maybe even more. His plan for feeding 1 million people was to send something called manna and meat as well. So how was he going to do that? They wondered. He told Moses, you tell them, you tell all the people that are complaining what I'm going to do. He said, when they wake up in the morning, they are going to go out of their tents and they're going to see that the ground has been covered with rain, a really light rain called dew. And when that dew dries up, they're going to see flakes, large flakes or small sheets of ice like frost. And they're going to wait for the dew to dry, and when it dries, they're going to see those sheets of and flakes of look like frosted ice or frosting or something like that, kind of like cotton candy, I'm thinking. And this is what I want them to do. I want everyone to pick 2 quarts. That's like a 2-liter bottle. Everyone needs to pick that much for every member of their family of the manna that I'm going to bring. And then you're going to use it to make your bread and other things to eat and to keep you alive. But there was a miracle inside that miracle, boys and girls. You know what it was? God made sure that everybody had just enough. If someone didn't know what a 2 quarts was and he picked too little, God made sure that he had enough for that day. If someone picked too much by accident, he knew to make sure that that person had enough for everybody that day. Wasn't that a miracle? How could everybody have just enough? I think that's really miraculous. I would have probably picked too much one day and not enough another. But God made a miracle inside the miracle. And so, there were some people, the Bible says in Exodus 16, some people tried to keep a little extra and save it for tomorrow. But God said specifically, don't do that. Don't do that. I want you to just eat for that day what you picked. So you know what happened? Those people who picked extra and tried to keep it for the next day, God made it rot. Overnight it started to stink, and there were insects all over it the next day when they went to try and eat that extra food. So we have bread. We have something called manna that they used to make the bread. But you know what else he sent? He sent meat. Now, how do you send meat to over 1 million people? Oh my goodness, God has a plan for everything. He sent huge flocks of quail. I don't know how many of you know this, but quail is the official bird of California. Can you believe that? God sent a whole bunch of quail every night, just in time for dinner. And God says, you pick enough to cook yourself meat for dinner. And so God was very specific with all this food. In this miracle, he says, everybody goes out for 6 days, every morning for 6 mornings to go pick your manna and collect it. And on the 6th day, collect twice as much, because on the 7th day, I don't want you to work. I want you to rest, because when you rest, I want you to remember who God is. So that was the big instructions. Don't pick any on the 7th. And when people tried to go out on the 7th day, on the Sabbath day to pick, there was no food. God made sure that they understood. And you wonder how long God could perform this miracle? God performed the miracle for 40 years. Oh my, God was so faithful to them. I want to show you what I think manna might have looked like. You want to see? Wow. I think that manna might have looked something like this. Kind of like soft flakes that it might have fallen on the ground and covered all the land around their tents. And wherever they traveled, there was manna every day. And remember what I said that they might have used manna for? I think they might have used manna to make bread. Look at this bread. They probably added some water or some milk from their animals, and then they fried it on top of stones. You see, boys and girls, when the Israelites left Egypt, they had to leave in such a hurry. They didn't even bring enough food. They didn't bring enough oil. They didn't bring enough flour. So God knew exactly what they needed to make bread every day, so their families would stay healthy and be strong enough to travel. Remember, they were on a very, very long journey. And are you ready for this? This is what I think quail might have looked like. Look at this. They're tiny little, they look like chickens, but they're tiny little birds. And God provided huge flocks every night so that the Israelites can go out, pick the birds, cook them for a meal, and eat them with their bread. So God made sure they had food to eat for 40 years. So, like I said at the beginning, this isn't a fairy tale. It is for real. This is what God did. And today we want to ask, what do we learn about God from this story? We learn that God listens to us when things are hard, and we pray, and sometimes we cry, and sometimes we complain to God. He hears you. He always does. And you know what? It teaches us that He provides exactly what you need. He knows what you need. He knows exactly what you need in your different situations that are difficult and hard. There's nothing that that's unaware of. He's always going to answer in just the right way for you. But even bigger than this, the Bible always points us to Jesus. He is the ultimate answer to all our prayers. And He wants to feed us spiritual food, doesn't He? He wants us to know Him and to love Him and to grow. And the only way we're going to grow, just like our physical bodies, is to eat food. Well, He wants us to grow as Christians and believe in Him and love Him and grow deeper and deeper. And that's why He's given us His Word, the Holy Bible. I hope you liked our story today. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Let's go. The greatest day in history. Death is beaten, you have rescued me. Sing it out, Jesus is alive. The empty cross, the empty grave. Life eternal, you have won the day. Shout it out, Jesus is alive. He's alive. Wash my sins away, oh, happy day, I'll never be the same, forever I am changed, forever I am changed, when I'm standing in that place, free at last, meeting face to face, I am yours, Jesus, you are mine. Endless joy and perfect peace. Earthly pain finally will cease. Celebrate, Jesus is alive. He's alive, and oh, happy day, you washed my sin away. Oh, happy day, I'll never be the same. Forever I am changed. Oh, what a glorious day. What a glorious way that you have saved me. What a glorious day, what a glorious day. Jesus, Jesus, and oh, happy day, you wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, I'll never be the same. Forever I am changed. Forever I am changed. Forever I am changed. Forever I am changed. Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Crafts. In today's Bible story, we learned about how God fed the Israelites by giving some manna and quail. Because of this, today's craft is going to be creating our very own little basket of manna and quail. For this craft, you're going to want to have a brown paper bag, a paper plate, a piece of white paper, something to color with like markers or crayons, a stapler, a pair of scissors, some glue, and a black marker or crayon. For the first step of this craft, you're going to want to get your brown paper bag, and you're going to want to cut off about like 5 inches from the top, so about halfway. Grab your scissors, start cutting around, like so. Ta-da! So, now that you got your like bottom half and like little top part, you're going to want to first start out by folding around the sides of the bottom this is gonna be what makes our little basket. Now you're gonna wanna fold it out in order to kind of make a little like seal in order to help keep it open. It will be okay if the bag rips a little bit. That's kind of just how the paper works out. So you should expect to see me have a little, yep, see it ripped. That's okay. It's happened. It'll still look very nice in the end. Fold it, fold it, fold it, fold it, fold it, folding, folding, folding. So once you fold it at one time, go around and crease it a little bit to make sure that the folds stay. Then after that, fold it over one more time in order to really make sure that the little rim is, I guess, sturdy. Keep on folding. Yeah, there we go. There's the bottom part of our bag. So once you finish up with this, next we're gonna want to take the little top part that you have from the like original plastic bag to take off any little like extra handlebars that might be on it. That off. This off. And then you're going to want to fold it over kind of horizontally, hot dog style, until I guess the bag is like about maybe a 1 inch thick. So maybe fold it twice or 3 times until it's like so. Then you're gonna want to crease it down and make sure that it kind of stays as sturdy as it is. And then at this point you could use it to kind of create a little handle for your basket. So in order to connect the handle that you created to the basket, you're going to want to use staples or tape or glue. I'm going to use staples because staples are going to probably be the most sturdy. So, close it down. One staple, and then probably staple on the other side. Staple down. That's another staple. Then do the same thing on the other side. Down, one, back up again, go on the other side, and staple it down. Yep, there we go. So now you have your very own basket. So in this basket, this is going to be where we put our little quail and our manna. Alright, so now that we finished up with the basket, now we can start on creating the manna and quails. So, with your blank sheet of paper, you're going to want to crease it down halfway on the long side, like so. it down. And then you're going to want to cut it into 2 pieces, or you could rip it like how I'm going to do it. Rip it. Might not be perfect, that's okay. So, you got your 2 pieces of paper. On one of the pieces of paper, you're going to want to cut out little circles. You kind of just estimate. And these are going to be our little manna pieces. So you could put them in your basket. Just keep cutting out circles or tearing out pieces of paper. Another. And then maybe we could also like tear a couple pieces if you want. Another piece. Another piece. That's another piece. And maybe we'll go cut out. Alright, so now that we've finished up cutting out all of our manna pieces, as you can see, now we can start on creating our quail. Now, to create the quail, we're going to want to first get the other half of the piece of paper, and we're going to want to get a paper plate. So starting off, I'm going to want to fold the paper plate in half. So, there we go. Paper plate folded in half. Next, we're going to want to make on the separate sheet of paper, we're going to want to copy down the outline of the quail. You could find that in the link of this video. So, the general idea is you're going to want to start with the top, which would be like so. Let's kind of draw a little head part for the quail, make a little top feather. You're going to want to come out, draw a beak, and then come down for the body, and then all the way up, and kind of curl around like so. And so this is generally how the quail is going to look. You could go refer to the link in the video for a better, more, I guess, like pre-made design that you could print out. So from this, we're going to want to put it onto kind of like the paper plate. We're going to want to kind of overlay it and kind of see where maybe like the parts where you should kind of cut them out as such. So just kind of follow generally along with how the paper looks. So might be messy and might not look perfect. That's okay. Then from here, you want to make sure that you kind of cut out the form of kind of like left, and then curl over to form a little tail. There you have it. There's kind of like your basic little like quail. So in order to kind of like keep the quail connected, you're gonna want to grab the glue, and then on the insides, we're gonna want to make a slight, small like strip on one side, like such. And then you are going to want to clamp it back down and kind of like close it. You might want to hold it down for a little bit in order to make sure that the glue actually like settles and connects the two parts. And so while we're waiting on this, maybe like put a little weight on it in order to make sure that it stays laid down. We are going to take two of the scraps that we used from the back of this quail, and we are going to fold them and create little wings. So we just kind of take them and we'll fold them in half, like such. Okay. We'll do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Now we have some little wings. So for the wings, we could kind of put them on each side of the quail. Like such. Oh, it's like my glue didn't stick. That's alright. If the glue isn't sticking for whatever reason, or if you don't have like glue, or you don't like messing around with glue too much, you could always use tape. Tape will also work. Glue this down. There we go. Just hold it down a little bit to really get this to stick. It's sticking. We're gonna go use some tape now, because it looks like it's not sticking. That's alright. Watch. Tape. Tape rolls, put them down, connect them like such. Hope this sticks. Sticks? No, it doesn't. Well, it'll settle eventually. In the meantime, let's put on the other ring. Now that we have our quail, oh, I suppose also if it's really not staying closed, you could always also just use staples. So I'll just use a stapler here just to make sure it stays closed. So at this point, now we are pretty much done. If you want, you could go add some little eyes to your quail like such, or if you have some googly eyes, you could also glue those on. Quail, we could give it like a little bit of a like head crust. And we could also maybe add some stars. Maybe I'll put a red smiley face. And then, let's see, we'll add a green circle. Green circles. So yeah, there we go. Some of it's hard to see, but you get the idea. So now you could add your little quail friend into your basket. And there we go. You have your little crafts, you have the little mana pieces, you have your quail.
Alright, so this is the signal song, and the very personal song. It goes like this. Beep, 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 beep. That's how I break sleep till I reach and hit the deep rock. And washing face and turn on lights and then I say 1, 2, 3, go. And we go down, 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 get my cereal. Then I pour it out and I say thank you God for your mercies new, for your new mercies, new mercies.
Much.